Hey guys, Ryan Gill here with Hunt Primitive, and if you're watching this video on YouTube, it's actually for my website huntprimitive.com, but it's also going to show up on YouTube. But this is for the folks that are interested in the difference between the raw Kentucky Hornstone and the stuff that's already spalled and flaked, ready to go. So in this video, we're actually going to work through whole small nodules and cobbles of Kentucky Hornstone into flakes and spalls that are ready to make into individual arrowheads or atlatl points or knife blades. And of course, we have both options on the website, so you can either buy just the nodules or the cobbles, or you can buy the stuff that's already processed and worked out by me. And real quick before we jump right in and get started, I know a lot of people are intimidated by the heat treating process. Well, good news is that Kentucky Hornstone does not need, nor will it take, any heat treating. So this stuff is ready to nap right out of the ground. No heat treating necessary. All right, let's get started here about as quick as we can for you and cut the video time down. Little steel hammer, okay? Something you might want. Doesn't have to be a ball peen, but a little steel hammer might actually do you some good. And then I've got a hammer stone, and then I've of course got a 1-inch bopper. These are not really meant for spalling, and one of the things you'll see here, and I always tell people that they're not really meant for spalling. You can start seeing we're getting separation, but I also do a lot of work with these. So if you do plan on using this for cleanup or spalling, get a couple of them because you're going to wear through them. You're gonna break them. Now you can hammer them back down. I do want to tell you about these too, that they're normal arrowhead making. You could have this thing for over a year or 2 years, go through probably 100 arrowheads before you ever had a problem with it. But when you're using it for hard hitting spalling, you're going to go through them quicker. And these are put together actually with a heat cured 2-part industrial epoxy, and they still come apart. So if you are making your own and you use something like a 5-minute epoxy, expect it to come apart a lot more often. So even though that this one's sliding apart, it still doesn't want to let it go. But just kind of keep that in mind. They're not really designed for spalling, but if you're going to use it for this work, like with Hornstone, or potentially even coral, working like big Cortex pieces off, plan on having a few of these and then hammer them back down or reglue them or whatever. So I just wanted to kind of give you that information, but that's also why I don't mind some of these big abstract looking hammer stones. And then a little steel hammer can save some of the wear and tear on your other tools. Okay, so now typically when we talk about steel hammer, it usually sends shock waves through rock, and so you don't want to hit the majority of the rock to spall. It's a lot easier to kind of make mistakes and put fractures in it. But on Hornstone, it actually does pretty good in regards to removing Cortex. So just, little tiny hits, and you can run Cortex off. Now that will, slide my bucket, that's my good bucket. That'll save some of the wear and tear on your copper if you want. I don't know if you'll see me use it a whole lot, but you'll see me use some. I just wanted to show you that alternative. And then, like with the copper, I already removed all the good pieces, I guess. There we go. Working it around. So what I'm a lot of times doing when I start with these cobbles that are like this is I'll actually work around and remove a lot of the Cortex, unless it's really thin. Like over here on this side, you can see the Cortex is super thin, so I'll remove a little bit here so you can see it. But there's rock just right underneath the Cortex, so you can drive flakes right across it easy. Some of them you're going to have, if you get the stuff that's not spalled out, if you just get the raw stone, some of it may have some thicker Cortex and be these half-round cobbles. So this is why it's really important in this video to show this all to you, because when you work this raw nodular rock, you have to figure out how to work around pieces like this. So this is why it's not really for beginners. It's for people that know a pretty decent amount about spalling and working abstract pieces. So you can save some money by getting it in the raw form like this, and we'll work through it almost like blade core in a way, just skinning off a lot of the Cortex, because obviously you can't nap that. And that's your first step, and then we can start running other flakes off that we can bifacially reduce from there. So obviously in this sense, as I'm showing you how to core it out or how to process just random different pieces, and then you can implement it, because everything's a little bit different. Some of them are almost totally round, like look at this one. This one was half round. Then you get some of it that's almost a little bit tablature type stuff. So we'll go through a couple of them just to give you kind of a good idea. But yeah, so if I have to work all of this out and spall it, that's obviously where it costs more, because now we're looking at the shop time, how much time I have invested into working all the pieces out individually and breaking them. And we'll make sure that we show a picture up on the screen too of when you buy it already processed from me, like it's already worked out. Most of the trouble stuff is pretty well removed. Like, it's just good rock. Occasionally there's a little crystal pocket here or there, or a little bit of tears in the rock, or you know, a little bit of cortex still. Like right here, this cortex is so thin now, that's perfectly fine. You can see you can run flakes all the way through that stuff. So if you see that little bit of white cortex left, that's not a big deal. It's just a big allocation of time, and honestly, I don't know that I have the time to process every bit of it out, and I know that there's also people that want to process their own rock out. So here's what I'm setting up now. I find a platform that's not too steep, and I'll hit it up a little bit higher. See if we do that, and then see how I remove a nice flake right there. So that's what you're kind of looking at. You'll still see, like when you get these, they'll have a little bit of cortex typically on it. Sometimes there's a little bit of grainy stuff in the middle. That's normal with hornstone. You could typically work through it all. And just to show you an example, if you got that little bit of cortex, it literally takes a couple minutes of tapping it off. And if I think it's really bad, I'll remove it for you. But for the most part, it takes just a couple minutes and you can work through it. So that's kind of what you would expect. All right, pull a piece out. So kind of the standard size that you might get. That's a pretty good one here. It's got just minimal cortex on it. Rock does look a little bit grainy, and there's a little bit of freeze fracture in here, so we're gonna have to work around that. There we go. It's a little bit grainy on the inside, but it's still pretty good. Not bad at all. If we can nap the cortex off, we can certainly run some good flakes over the center. But that's a pretty good little piece. And we'll just work that cortex off. That's pretty good there. As you can see, it's a little bit grainy. We'll run a flake here again for you though, just so you can see that it's still gonna nap very nicely, which it does. So set that one aside. We'll just move on to a different one here real quick that's a little bit more problematic maybe for some folks. So you take something like this, a lot of cortex on this side, big turtle backed up. Let's work this one through so you got a little more comfort with these odd shaped pieces. So right now I'm just kind of working around to knock the cortex off. If we start working cortex off early, then we have stronger platforms to actually drive removal flakes. So the more kind of cortex we can get off early, the better. So that's just kind of what we're up to. And I got a little bit more there, which might have to stay. Actually, most of that's good rock. It's like a little bird point size. So we put that over there in the bucket where, like, if customers order the small boxes of flakes and chips, that's what's really in that, is stuff like this, like little arrowhead size pieces. We get a whole bunch of those, just like in that Madison point or the Mississippian point video that I did a while back. And so now what we can work on is kind of lightly bopping. So that's a nice arrowhead size flake there. That's even a little bit on the larger side, so we'll stick that in that bucket. Same thing here, that's a little one, but it's still a good one. But what we're really doing is we're just kind of working around the core, trying to make a better sized core to work. But we're going to save all these nice little resources along the way. all the little flakes. That's a pretty decent one there. Save all the little flakes that we can make something out of. Let's put them in there because we don't want to waste this resource. And if there's points to be made, we want to make them. Or we want you to make them, one of the two. And kind of botch that one up a little bit. Set up a platform. There we go. Now with this side, we actually got some, it's a little bit grainier on this side. You can see this side's really slick and smooth. And now this side's grainy. So what we want to do is be very strategic about how we reduce this, because we want to preserve the really smooth side, because oftentimes in the side of hornstone, inside a nodule of hornstone, you're going to see a little bit more crystal or quartz or grainy type of material. So you don't want to continue to remove the good stuff if you're trying to get down to a core that you can really use. Might have to start talking louder because I can hear the rains coming. So we'll go ahead and remove a platform. Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk loud here in a second, I guess. And we're gonna start, there we go, driving some of that. Now you can see we've hit the glassy stuff on this side. So we remove that a little bit more over here, make a better platform. There we go. One more here. And we're right down to a nice premium spall, and you can see we just got a little bit more of the grainy stuff, but you'll be able to remove that really easy. And we're down to just a really nice core spall to make like an atlatl size point out of. So of course you have the options where I can work it all out for you, and we'll use the shop time and spall and remove all the waste and try to send you really nice spalls of this stuff. Or you can enjoy the process yourself or save a little bit of money, and you can order these raw nodules, at least while we have them in stock. You can order them and work them all out yourself. So there's typically really good rock on the inside of these. Now of course you can't guarantee that every single one is going to be absolutely perfect. We always knock something off of every one just to make sure it's got some good rock in it. And sometimes you just have to work around a little freeze fracture here, or a little bit of grainy material there, or a crystal pocket here. You just never quite know. So here's where we work the cortex off of this one, and it's got a big turtle back. This side's thinned out. What we're going to do is look at it. We can see there's a little bit of trash here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sacrifice that tip. Man, the rainy season's here, guys. Summertime in Florida is the monsoon season, that's for sure. It's like this every day. We'll just clean that up just a little, and we'll drive that off. See, now we're almost down to really good rock. So clean that platform just a little bit more. And there we go. Another good amount off of it. And I think I'll rough that up just a little bit. There we go. Nice one. Alright, now we're good down to it. Clean that side up. And we're down to a really nice little spall of hornstone again. So that's how that works. We'll get just another one. So big abstract piece. This would be a nice one here. Kind of easy. Got some options on platforms. You'd be able to take something like this and say, okay, do I want a bunch of small ones? Because you could basically slice this like bread probably for a ways and get a whole bunch of small arrowhead sizes. Or you can roll the dice and see if you can knock some big spalls off of it. I think we might do a little bit of each and see what happens. Nice light hit. See, now that cortex is really thin on that outside, so I would leave this one just as is. I'd put that one in the bucket to go, but you'll notice here it's nothing to remove that little layer of cortex all the way around. Really easy stuff. See how that works? So not a big deal on that for sure. So we'd leave that one kind of as is. And a really nice rock in there. Let's see, we'll take a hit maybe this way. There we go. That's a nice spall. A little tiny freeze fracture in that corner, but not bad overall, because what you'd probably do is get rid of this top half anyway, and you'd be left with that really nice one. So we'll just clean that up, show you what that looks like. We're gonna knock that area. See, that was that little freeze fracture. No big deal. And see, the cortex is really thin again over here on this side. You can nap right through that stuff. See, you can just drive flakes right through it. Not chalky at all on this one. Some of them, the cortex is thicker, and sometimes it's thinner. See, so that's pretty easy. I would send that one right there just as is. And we'll come over here and we'll try to remove another flake out of that spot if we can. I'll decide my angle here. There you go. Another nice little flake. Probably going to have that same issue. We'll tap that corner off. We don't need that. Clean that edge. See, now that cortex really thin. That's not a big deal at all. Definitely a nice point into that piece. So that one's great. Still working around a nice core here. Dumping my junk on the ground. We could follow that ridge, but it's probably not going to give us the flake we want. We'll give just a little bit to remove. And then we'll work on another higher. There we go. That one doesn't need anything at all. It's just nice rock. So, perfect. Let's see. Well, that's nice. Nice rock. Trying to figure out where I want to go next. Another nice arrowhead piece right there. Get rid of a little bit more of that cortex and see if that doesn't open up a little bit better platform. I think it did. We'll try it. It might hit that crystal pocket and break, but we'll see. Don't feel super good about it, but we'll try one more. Not one too bad. Okay. Perfect. So that was that little crystal pocket, but it's off to the one side. So it's pretty easy to kind of work around. Nice little arrowhead piece. And we'll finish this one out, and then we're going to probably call it good. I think we got a pretty good idea on what we're working with here. Some of the pieces are a little easier, and some of them are a little tough. They're just completely random how they come out of the pile. So I'm not picking the best ones. I'm not picking the worst ones. You can see it's really good on this side, and then there's just a termination there of a crystal pocket. So like if you get a piece like this, you would just build up this platform, run a couple across it, and you'll probably get rid of it. I'll show you that just kind of for the fun of it, because telling you and then doing it is two different things. There you go. So now it's minimal. There's almost nothing left. So that was a good piece, no big deal. And this one, we're still got some good pieces in it. Just got to decide where the best ones are. Where are the best ones? Oh, I broke that one. That was my fault there. Hit it too hard. I'm gonna climb that edge up. Now what I'm gonna do is just turn that core piece. We're gonna clean it off and make it its own spall, especially because now we've kind of broken and worked past the that big crystal pocket that we had. Let's clean that up just a little. There we go. Yeah, I'll save that one for sure. Got one, it just didn't want to come off there. There it is. And then there's a little bit more trouble area right there. That's a nice one. And we're right down to another nice arrowhead spall.